Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is going to be my very first video. I'm really excited about this. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time, so I'm really excited to finally gain the confidence to, please do not mind that, to finally put this out there. Please do not mind that. My older brother just came. So let's go into the video. The topic of today is how to become confident. Now, I used to be a really insecure person. Really insecure. I was never confident. I was insecure, and it got really bad. It got to a point where I was really depressed. And my depression got so bad, I couldn't handle it anymore. I didn't even know what it was, because during this time period in my life, I think in elementary school, like towards the end. I think I was, what's the last grade? 6th grade? I think it was like towards the end of 6th grade and the beginning of like middle school. This was so long ago, guys. This was what, 2018, 2019, something like that. It was right before COVID, I think. So anyways, that's kind of when I went into my like depressive, era. I don't want to say era because I don't know, that sounds very insensitive, but that's when I went into my depressive state. And so it was really bad. I come from a very traditional Hispanic household. And when I say traditional, I mean, our beliefs and everything are very, strict. And I'm saying this because here in America, they've been putting an effort into making mental health awareness like a big thing, because it's really important. And it's a topic that is very sensitive and that really needs to be talked about a lot, because you can save so many lives through educating people on mental health and how you can get help, how you can help people, what to do to prevent all of this, all that kind of stuff. And so I come from a household where it's like not really something we believe in, I want to say. I remember when I was depressed, I didn't know what it was. I was feeling all these different emotions. I was so confused. I was like, why do I feel like this? What is causing this? Why am I acting this way? I didn't know what it was, because it wasn't something that was talked about. It wasn't something we believed in. It just didn't exist, And so I remember I got to a point where it was so bad, and I started realizing, I started thinking, I started looking up what these like emotions were, what the symptoms were, everything. And I came to the realization that I was possibly depressed, And so I remember it got to the point where it was super bad. I didn't know what else to do. I just couldn't handle it anymore. I really couldn't. I was so tired of feeling this way. It's such a terrible thing to go through, genuinely. And I couldn't handle it anymore. And I tried reaching out to people. I tried reaching out to my parents first. And I did not get a good response. I reached out for help and I did not get any help. Because I live in like a very traditional Hispanic household. Like I said before, it's not something we really believe in. It's like what I got told was, you're not depressed. You're being dramatic. You don't even know what that means. You're just a kid. Why are you feeling that way? Go occupy yourself. Go do something. Do stuff that, doesn't give you time of day to feel those emotions. That's exactly what I was told. I was told I was being dramatic. I didn't know what that actually meant. And I felt so bad. I felt terrible, guys. Mind you, this is like an elementary schooler. So the fact that I managed to gain the courage to actually say something and voice what I was feeling and just reach out for help, and I got told that I was being dramatic and that I didn't know what it meant, was such a bad feeling. It was so bad. I felt I felt heartbroken. I felt terrible. I was just like, wow. I was like, and the thing is, I actually gave in to what they were saying. I got convinced that what I was feeling, wasn't serious. That I was just being dramatic, didn't actually really know what it meant, and, I was overreacting. And so, I did my best to try and overcome whatever the hell I was feeling, because at that point I thought, okay, it's not depression. I don't know what else it could be. So I just, try to overcome it. But the thing is, it progressively got worse. It got worse. And I remember it got to the point where we would go out with my family, and I would just be there. I wouldn't be excited. I wasn't excited. I wasn't happy. I looked sad, and my family would be like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong with you? Why do you look so sad? This and that. And at that point, because I got the response that I got, I didn't want to make a big deal about it. And, I think at that point I did realize that I was depressed. And I just didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to get the same response that I got before. I was scared of that. I was scared of getting hurt again in that way. And so they would ask me, like, are you okay? What's going on? Talk to me. And I don't know if it was from pure, pettiness or what it was. I simply just didn't want to talk about it. I don't know. I don't even think I could have explained it back then, because I was still in between, the realization of I was depressed and, kind of trying to not accept it at the same time. So I never really reached out again to get that kind of help. I never talked about it after that because I didn't want to go through that again. I didn't. After a while, I turned to, this kind of person that absolutely hated herself. I was so insecure. I was an introvert, I was insecure. I was all of that. All the negatives there is. I would cry myself to sleep. I would sometimes starve myself. Thankfully, I never actually hurt myself physically. But I would starve myself sometimes. I would think negatively about myself. I would cry myself to sleep. All that type of stuff. I can't remember what my endpoint was, But I got to a point where I just, I woke up. It was like I woke up one day and I was like, no, this needs to stop. I cannot continue living my life this way. I started watching people on YouTube, and I can't remember who these people were. I wish I did. But I started watching people on YouTube, and I started, slowly realizing that I think at that point I actually accepted the fact that, I was depressed. And I came to the realization that I actually made an effort to reach out and find help, and I was, unlucky enough to not receive it. So I found a different way to receive that kind of help. I started watching people who talked about confidence, how you can become a better version of yourself, all that kind of stuff. And I improved. I got better. I learned to, gain confidence. And I'm still learning now. Like, it's not like one day I woke up and I was completely fine again. No, that's not how that works. That is not how that works. If someone tells you that's how it works, they don't know what they're talking about. That does not happen. So I still struggle with this at times. Not as bad as, what I went through before, but, we all struggle. What took me out of that depression was my effort to get better. I was the one who got myself out of that through the help of, people out there who talked about it. How to become a better version of yourself, how to be more confident, how to, just make yourself a better person, put yourself out there, all that stuff, And so that's why I want to start talking about these things, because you never know. I was a little girl, was confused, didn't know what she was feeling, randomly went across a video, and it changed my life. It changed my life, and you don't know, I could be the next person who could, do something so nice like this for someone else. You can be that kind of person too. But yeah, so that's kind of like the story behind all of this. I was an insecure person. That's what I was talking about first. I get so sidetracked, guys. This is not okay. But anyways, I was a very insecure person. I slowly gained confidence through these certain things. Let me pull it up real quick. One key thing to being a confident person is faking it. You know how people say fake it till you make it? They're not lying. And you should take it quite literally. Fake it till you make it. I remember, why am I saying as if like this is like years later? Guys, what am I saying? Okay, my first job ever was retail. I was working in retail. My first job was at American Eagle, and I was a part-time sales associate. I was such an introvert, guys. I was such an introvert. I hated talking to new people. I hated meeting new people. I was so uncomfortable when it came to talking to people I didn't know. I was so awkward. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to socialize. I was someone who was always just in the house, to myself, with my siblings, I was at home. I never really went outside. I was very overprotected, yeah. I'm the only girl in my family. I have 3 brothers, 1 older brother, 2 younger brothers. I remember a few times I would ask to go out, and it was like, are parents gonna be there? Who's going with you? I have to meet these kids first. And it was just like, it was so complicated to just get out of the house. And mind you, I come from a Hispanic household, so it's even more complicated. I'm not gonna say every Hispanic household is like this. Some kids are lucky enough to just, you know, be able to go out whenever the hell you want, but that was not me. But yeah, I never really went out. I was always at home. I didn't know how to socialize. I was very awkward. I was an introverted person. And I remember for my first job, my interview, that was the first time I had ever gotten interviewed. It was so awkward. I remember my manager was like, she was like, "Are you nervous?" I was like, "Yes." She's like, "Is this your first interview? Like first time, first job and everything?" I was like, "Yes." She's like, "I can tell because you look really nervous." Guys, that was so embarrassing. That was so embarrassing. I kid you not. I turned so red. I felt like my ears were about to like melt off because it was so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. She's like, "Yeah, I can tell, like, this is your first time. Like, you're really, you know, you look really shy. You sound nervous." Guys, my voice was really, like, it was, I was shaking. My voice was, you know, not coming out the right way. It was so embarrassing. And I was trying so hard to keep myself calm and collected. But at the end of the day, I just couldn't. I was so introverted. It was so bad. I somehow landed the job and I got hired. Guys, this was literally almost a year ago. I got hired in October. So a year and like two months, yeah. So this is pretty recent, guys. This is pretty recent. And that was my first job ever. Anyways, besides the point, working in retail, you're forced to talk to people you don't know at all every single day, every single minute. You're forced to come up to them and ask them questions like, "Are you looking for anything in particular? How may I help you with this?" Say they come up to you and they ask you a certain question. You're knowledgeable enough to, you know, help them out. You suggest certain things to them. You help them find their style, help them find anything they're looking for. You're supposed to help them. You're providing a service, you know? So you kind of have to put yourself out there. And the thing is, you know, being introverted, you're talking to these people every single day, every single minute. You're going back and forth. You're, you know, doing so many things at the same time. Like I said before, I really hated talking to people I didn't know. And I was just like a really awkward person. But this job, it forced me to learn to not be awkward. Because if I was awkward, you know, I wasn't giving the service I was supposed to be giving, you know? And one thing about me is I try to do my best in everything I do. I had to learn to put myself out there. Guys, I remember I looked at the email that said, "Oh, can we have an interview with you?" And I immediately knew that I was going to be so nervous for that interview. But I was brave enough to put myself out there, to throw myself in that uncomfortable situation that I hadn't even gone to, and I already knew I was going to be uncomfortable and awkward and embarrassed and shy because I was an introvert and everything. And this was the first time I had, you know, I was going to go through something like this. But I still threw myself in that situation. I got out of my comfort zone. One thing led to another. I learned to be confident. I learned to, you know, talk to people randomly, you know, walking around, asking them if they needed help with anything. Most of the time they would be like, "Yeah, can you help me with this?" Or, "I'm looking for this." Rarely would they say, "Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm just looking around." That job changed me as a person, as a whole. went from being an introverted person to the most extroverted person you have ever met. I remember a lot of like my old friends, I don't live in the same area as I used to live in compared to like when I was an introverted person to who I am now. A lot of my old friends, whenever we meet up and everything, or whenever like, you know, we talk, they're like, wow, you have changed so much. Yes, I have. I am no longer that introverted girl I used to be. I am now an extrovert. And it's just so funny, like how you can change through just like one experience, you know? It's really funny and really nice. But one key thing is you have to fake your confidence, and you have to just throw yourself out in situations that you know will help you become a better person. In this case, I knew before my interview I was going to be awkward, all that stuff. But I threw myself out there because I really needed a job, for one. I was broke and I needed money. And, you know, I wanted to experience something new. I threw myself out there. I became an extrovert. I am no longer an introvert. If anyone says I'm an introvert, you do not know me. Even when I'm tired, like I'm still an extrovert to an extent. But if you say I'm an introvert, you do not know me. I'm sorry, but you can't say you know me. Because that's just not who I am anymore. That's the old me. That person is long gone. Long gone. But anyways, fake it till you make it. You have to, like, you'll be put in certain situations where you feel uncomfortable, or maybe you just don't feel confident that day. And like for me, for example, if I don't feel confident or if I don't feel good about myself, I can't perform to the best of my abilities. I don't know if that's like a really bad thing or if it's just, you know, everyone's like that. But you have to fake it till you make it. In this case, with your confidence, you have to put up an act. You have to put up an act, and, you know, no one will really know that you're not really feeling that way. That your feelings are not, you know, like real because you're faking them, you know? The more you fake it, the more it becomes like part of you, the more it comes naturally. And then you forget about all those other feelings that you used to feel. And you stay with that like feeling of, in this case, you're confident. Like, I remember I had a friend, we we made plans to meet up after so long. And I remember that day. I woke up, I was feeling like shit. I was feeling like shit, guys. I felt so ugly. I felt so insecure that day. I did not want to go out. I did not want to socialize. I did not, nothing. But I was so excited to meet my friend because I hadn't met her in like, I think a year, I believe. I think it was like a year. And we were always just trying to make time for each other to like meet up because we were really close. We still are. We're close friends. And we're always just, you know, trying to stay connected, keep up with each other. I remember I woke up, I didn't want to go out. I felt shitty. You know, I felt like shit. I did not want to show up like this. No one likes feeling like shit, okay? It's kind of obvious. But because we were like planning this for so long, I was like, I have to go. Like, I can't cancel on her. That would make me feel bad. I know she would feel bad. So I went anyways. And, you know, we were catching up and everything. And she was like, Carla, like, I really admire how confident you are. Mind you, we hadn't seen each other in like so long. Like I said, like a year. And so she's literally talking to like a different person. Like, I had already changed at that point, my personality and everything. She was like, I really admire your confidence and everything. She's like, how do you do it? I was like, girl, like, damn. Like, I told her, I was so honest with her. I was like, I woke up this morning, I felt like shit. I didn't want to go out at all. I was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I did not want to show up, but I showed up anyways. I told her the one thing you will continue hearing from me and from people on social media fake it till you make it. It doesn't matter what it is. Succession, I don't know, personality, like your confidence, all that. I told her I was putting up an act for a while. Like, I acted like I was confident even though I felt insecure. I was lying to myself. I was manipulating my brain. I was lying to myself in a good way, guys, in a good way. But I told her, in my head, I was thinking, you know, I look so good today. I smell good. I look good. I feel good, this and that. So all that negativity that I felt this morning, it wasn't present in my head. And like I said before, depending on how confident I feel is how well I perform. I told her, this is why people say fake it till you make it, because it's going to change the way you perform. It's going to change the way you act. It's going to change the way people view you. I told her, like, you're literally looking at someone who is crying this morning, looking at yourself in the mirror, thinking you look so ugly. She's like, what? She was like, there's no way, girl. She's like, you're so beautiful and everything. I was like, thank you. Like, thank you. No, but I told her, I was like, I felt like shit this morning. She's like, damn, like, that's crazy. Like, she's like, she's like, I always hear people saying that, but I didn't really think like that's how people actually do it. I was like, yeah, girl, that's all you gotta really do. That's like the first step. Fake it till you make it. She's like, yeah, like I should try that, you know? I should start trying that. So that's like one little step that you can take onto this journey of becoming confident. If you don't feel confident, fake your confidence. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna know that you don't feel confident. No one's gonna point it out, you know? And some people who do, they'll point out the fact that you act confident. They'll point out the fact that you present yourself in a certain way. And most of the time it's not negative. It's positive because you're faking it. It's so easy. Change your appearance / personality. What this means is you should really self-analyze. What I mean by that is, you know, take a step back and just look at yourself. Just be like, it could be your appearance and personality. What is it that makes me feel a certain way? Why am I not confident? It could be, I don't know, the way you look, maybe the way you act, the way you don't act. Like, for example, I hated how much of an introvert I was. I wanted to be the person that was always talking. I wanted to be involved with people. You know, I wanted to be involved in those fun situations and everything. I wanted to be involved. And I also didn't like how I looked. My insecurity came from my appearance. Unfortunately, from an early age, I learned that appearance really matters because it's how you present yourself. It's how people... Your appearance is the first thing people view. The way you look is the first thing people view when they look at you, not your personality. So it is such like a sad thing to like really realize, but not at the same time, because, you know, even you'll look at someone, first thing you see is the way they look. Like, you can't look at their personality first. Personality is, you see that when you get to know the person better, or you see the way they act towards others, you know? But appearance is the first thing you see. Confidence, you can change your confidence with the way you present yourself. And it can be through the smallest things ever, like your jewelry, your clothing, your hair, your makeup, I don't know, your scent, your cologne, your perfume. Guys, literally, I kid you not, I sprayed some of this before filming this because I wanted to smell good. Smelling good. One thing about me is hygiene. If you don't have good hygiene, it's such a huge turnoff. And one thing about me is I always get complimented for the way I smell. All my friends, new people I meet, they're always like, you smell so good. I've been told so many times on so many different occasions. They're like, hey Carla, like every time like I'm with you, I always think, oh my gosh, like who smells so good? And I come to realize that it's you. And it's just like hygiene, like taking care of yourself. That's part of changing your appearance. Changing your appearance is putting an effort into the way you present yourself, the way you take care of yourself, you know, skincare, the amount of time you take into putting together an outfit to look good, you know, your jewelry, your makeup, I don't know, getting a tan, getting a pedicure, a manicure, lash lift, I don't know, extensions, surgery. It literally anything that you do to change your appearance, that's putting an effort. Okay, that's, you know, taking time to make yourself look better, more presentable. I feel like appearance plays a big part in confidence. It wasn't until I started putting in effort into the way I looked and felt about myself that it's helped with my confidence, you know? I feel like on the days that I don't feel confident is mainly because I don't like the way I look. Because I didn't put effort that day to, you know, put together an outfit, put on jewelry. I don't know. I will never say perfume because I always put perfume on. I don't know why. Like, I don't like going out without, you know, putting on a perfume. I feel like smelling good is like, it makes me so happy. I don't know why. Because I'm smelling myself and I'm like, damn, I smell good. Guys, by the way, this is the Victoria's Secret White Peach Mango hair and body mist. I always get compliments for this. This is my second bottle. I always get compliments for this. Let me spray right now. But anyways, the smallest things will make a huge difference. It will. It really will. And then when it comes to personality, it's the same thing. It's taking a step back and self-analyzing. Maybe you're a stubborn person and you don't like how stubborn you are. Maybe someone's like, they point it out and they're like, you're really stubborn, you should probably change that, you know? Taking a step back, analyzing it and being like, okay, maybe if I want to be liked more, or if I want more people to approach me, I should change this about myself. Maybe be more open-minded, you know, hear people out, you know, listen to them, be less stubborn. And then you'll come to see more people gravitate towards you. They want to be around you more. And that's the thing. When you get complimented, or when you start noticing more people want to be around you because they like being around you, they like who you are, they like your personality, it makes you more confident. It makes you feel good about yourself because you know people like you. And so changing your appearance and your personality, that's like another key thing to becoming a confident person. Ooh, surround yourself in a good environment. I feel like this is really important. If it could be, I don't know, the place you're living in, where you're at the moment, where you're at in a daily basis, the people you surround yourself with. I'll go more into that later. But I feel like that also, I don't know, it triggers something in your head. Like, if you feel good where you're at, it makes you think more positively. You know what I mean? People who you surround yourself with, you'll always hear people saying, who you're friends with is who you are. They play a huge role into making the person you are, the person you become. So in my depression, my best friend, she was very toxic. Very, very, very toxic. I used to essentially idolize her. I looked up to her. I, you know, wanted to be as pretty as her. I thought she was so pretty. I wasn't jealous or envious of her, but I wanted to be like her. I wanted to feel, you know, I wanted to be pretty like her. I thought she was so gorgeous. She still is, obviously. But you know, I wanted to feel that way. I wanted more people to approach me the way that people would approach her. She was toxic in the sense that I did not realize this back then, but she was insecure herself. And she was essentially using me to make herself feel better about herself. She was probably just as insecure as I was, if not worse. She would literally use me to make herself feel better about herself. And I didn't realize this until like later on when my parents started pointing it out. They were like, are you sure that's a real friend? Like, I don't think she's your best friend. And I would be like, no, like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Until one thing happened. I remember this so clearly. I think this was 7th grade. I don't think it was 8th grade. We had a class together. And one day we were doing classwork. The teacher was out. And I think she was sitting right next to my crush. Guys, my crush. Or they were working together. Something like that. I don't know. I can't remember. This was so long ago, guys. And she asked him, she was like, who do you like more? Do you like Carla or me? When I tell you, my heart sank to my ass. And I can't remember what his reaction was, but I feel like he was awkward or something. I don't remember if the class went silent or like if they were just minding their own business or whatever. But she asked him, she was like, who do you like more, her or me? Can't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, I think he pointed at her. And this girl, she started laughing. She started laughing in my face and was like, haha, he likes me more than you. Guys, I was holding back tears. I felt so embarrassed. I felt like shit. Like, what? And I was just so confused. I was like, what the hell is going on? And that's when something clicked in my head. I was like, you're not a friend. Because what kind of friend asked that question? Like, no real friend of yours is gonna ask that question. Why the hell are you asking my crush? I don't even remember if she knew that was my crush or not. I don't know if I told her or not. But my crush, saying that my best friend, he liked my best friend more than me. Guys, that's like a... I was holding back tears. And I felt so embarrassed. I can't remember if the classroom reacted to that or if they were just like minding their own business. But she was laughing. She was laughing in my face. And I remember her face. It was as if she won like $1 billion, guys. Like, she was so proud. She was so happy. She was laughing. She felt so damn good about herself. Oof. That was the day I realized she was not my best friend. She was not. And I went home. It was like I was literally crying the entire day. I could not stop crying. I felt like shit. I was so embarrassed. I felt horrible. After that, I started distancing myself from her because I was like, that's not... You're not a real friend. You're just a fucking bitch. And that's when I slowly started realizing that she was using me to make herself feel better because she was just as insecure as I was, if not worse. And the thing is, my parents would even like, they would point it out at times. They'd be like, that is not your friend. She's trying to make you feel bad because she's insecure. And I didn't want to accept it because to me, she was like an angel. I'm telling you guys, I idolized her. And it was crazy. It was insane. But yeah, who you surround yourself with and your environment are really important when it comes to confidence and, you know, just your mental health, really. Because if you surround yourself around people who make you feel bad, that's gonna affect you mentally. You may think it doesn't, but it does. It really does. So really just be picky about that. Ooh, use social media to your advantage. Guys, let me go into like my skin and everything. I said I didn't really like how I look without makeup, and how I, you know, saw the problem, came up with a solution. Use social media to your advantage, guys. There's people who, you know, make content on how to get bigger muscles, you know, get that booty, you know. Lose, I don't know, belly fat, face fat, whatever it is. How to have better makeup. And people who, I don't know, maybe you're really pale, you're looking for makeup for girlies who have really pale skin, or maybe you're like really tan, maybe you're dark skinned, you're looking for girls who have the same skin tone as you and you want to see what products they use. Use social media to your advantage. Taking care of yourself and putting in effort to your appearance, say your outfits, you can find that on social media, on the internet, articles, websites, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. Use it to your advantage. Instead of like seeing these people post, you know, pictures of themselves, obviously it's gonna be inspiration for you to, you know, like be like, oh, I want to look like her, you know, let me follow her, see what she's doing to make herself look like that. She's really pretty, he's so handsome, or maybe, ooh, he looks jacked, I want to be like that, you know. Use it to your advantage. Instead of like using it to make yourself feel worse about yourself, use it to your advantage, because it's gonna stay there forever. You know, nothing's gonna change. People are always like, oh yeah, you shouldn't be on social media because it makes you feel worse about yourself. Instead of thinking that way, use it to your advantage. Come on, guys, like, work smarter, not harder. Okay, I don't think that has anything to do with that, but yeah. Step out of your comfort zone. Let's see. Stepping out of your comfort zone, what I mean by that is putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. For example, me, when I was an introvert, I went to that interview because I needed the job, for one. I did not want to keep being a broke teenager. But also because I wanted to go through a different experience. I knew I was going to be awkward. I knew I was going to be nervous. I knew I was going to be shy. But I threw myself out there. I went out of my comfort zone, and it led to a positive thing. So instead of just being scared and doing something because you're scared, or you're scared of feeling uncomfortable, or you just don't want to feel uncomfortable, girl, boy, whatever you are, literally throw that out the window. Throw that out the freaking window. If you don't like putting yourself in uncomfortable positions, I don't know where you're going to be at 5 years from now. I don't even want to know, because it's not going to be good. Unfortunately, it's not going to be good. People who are successful have put themselves in uncomfortable situations knowing it's going to give them a good result. No one in this world is ever going to be, comfortable all the time. Never. That's not a thing. One way or another, you're going to be put in a situation you don't like, or you're uncomfortable in, or you're awkward in, or God knows what. So just throw yourself out there and experience new things, because who knows, maybe you end up liking your experience, or maybe you don't and you learn from that. It's okay. You learn. Everyone learns. It's okay to go through it. Be real and honest with yourself. This goes back to, changing your appearance and personality. Being real and honest with yourself, what I mean by that is, like, again, self-analyze. Be honest, okay? Instead of, like, sugarcoating things and just, babying yourself, being like, oh, it's okay, like, this and that. No, it's not. Get the fuck up. Do something about whatever it is that you're insecure about, or you don't like about yourself, or others don't like about yourself. I will say another thing. Judgment. Accepting judgment from others is, I feel like, another key thing to becoming a better person and becoming more confident. If you're someone who simply doesn't like to hear people out, or like you ignore others like judgment about you, you delude yourself into thinking, oh, I don't know, I can stay this way forever. Or maybe, let me go back to a stubborn thing. If you're a stubborn person and people are always judging you and they're like, you're so stubborn, like nobody likes a stubborn person, and you ignore it, no. Why are you ignoring that? And then you go on to thinking, why do people not like me? Because you're stubborn. Nobody likes stubborn people. Nobody. And if you do, then I don't know, I guess you find yourself like a unique person. I don't know. Or you're unique. I don't know. Obviously, you can be stubborn to an extent, okay? But not like stubborn all the time. Nobody likes someone who's always stubborn. Nobody likes it. And I know this from experience. I can say it because I have been stuck with someone who is extremely stubborn, you know. It's so hard. Nobody likes it. So accepting judgment from others is being like, okay, people don't like this about myself. I don't like this about myself. I should make a change. And obviously, if it's like really negative and it like makes absolutely no sense, and you know, like people are judging you for something and you're okay with it, and you know, like it's fine, or I don't know, it's not a big deal or whatever, ignore it. You don't have to actually take in everyone's judgment, you know, but it's good to consider it. Yeah, accept your flaws. It's the same thing with like accepting judgment. If you learn to accept your flaws, some people learn to be okay with it, which is good. It's really good. And you know, you put yourself at peace, which is what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be at peace, you know. Accepting your flaws brings you peace. You learn to love yourself more. But there are some people who, you know, simply can't, you know, stay okay with whatever their flaw is. They're simply not okay with it. The first step to changing that about yourself is accepting it, being okay with it, realizing that it's a flaw, and then making an effort to change it. Okay, let's go back into it. I went through a little malfunction, so please forgive me. Become a selfish person. And what do I mean by that? I mean, put yourself first. Those people that you see on the internet who are successful and are confident and are like, you know, everything you want to be, it's because they put themselves first. If you don't put yourself first and you put others first, that does not benefit you at all. Unless that person is, you know, I don't know, benefiting you in some way, then okay. If they're not, why do you bother putting them first? Because it's not benefiting you. Becoming selfish is putting yourself first, knowing what it is that you need, and prioritizing that. If you're putting someone before you, you're making them your top priority, and they're leading to, I don't know, like you being unhealthy or, you know, mentally unwell or whatever it is, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Prioritize yourself. Be selfish. Take care of yourself. That's being selfish. You take care of yourself. You prioritize yourself. You put yourself first. In this case, with confidence, I feel like I have some friends who I've had this talk with. They've come to me and they've been like, oh, like I've been friends with this person for this long, and I don't really, you know, I feel bad about, you know, cutting them off because we've been friends for so long. And they've literally told me that they've done like the worst shit ever. Like, baby, why are you putting their feelings first? Put your own feelings first. This is your life. This is affecting you, not them. They're not getting affected in any way. Like, what? Be selfish. Learn to be selfish. Prioritize your well-being. I told her, I was like, girl, this is not affecting her in any way. If anything, she's hurting you, and you're worrying about her feelings. This is not affecting her in any way. negatively. It's only affecting you negatively because you care about her feelings and she's hurting you. I told her, I was like, you clearly know what you have to do. You have to cut her off because she's, she's hurting you. She's like, yeah, but I've been friends with her for so long. I was like, girl, that does not matter. You'll meet people, sometimes it'll get to a point where you just have to cut them off because they're no good for you. They don't benefit you in any way. They make you feel bad about yourself. They hurt you. You have to cut them off. Even if it hurts you, you have to do what's best for yourself. Because if you continue being with that person, you don't know what'll happen. Maybe the situation will get worse. They'll continue hurting you, and it'll lead from one thing to another. So if you don't put yourself first, put your feelings first, prioritize yourself first, you're just allowing yourself to get hurt. So that's another thing. Become selfish. And like for my instance, when I chose to cut off my best friend, I think I chose to actually cut her off, start distancing myself. That was when I put myself first. That was when I became selfish. That was when I prioritized my feelings, my mental health, my well-being. And I said, this needs to stop. She does not benefit me in any way, so I need to get rid of it because it's only hurting me. And I did. We're still like in contact, but it's not like we're besties. No. She was a really good friend at first. Like, we were friends since first grade, I think. And, she really played a big part in my life. Like, I don't talk to her anymore, to be honest. But, like, we check up on each other every now and then, make funny comments to our stories, whatever it is. And I don't hold any hard feelings towards her. I never communicated to her about, all that shit I went through and that she made me go through, because I'm not gonna waste my energy on that. Because I already know what kind of person she is. Point is, I put myself first. I changed that, and it was good for me. You need to learn to be that way. Prioritize yourself. Because if not, then you're just allowing yourself to get hurt. And it's just like you're literally crying about something that you're allowing. You're allowing that energy. You're allowing all that negativity. Like, when you're able to cut it off, what are you doing? So just become selfish. And this can literally, it can go with anyone. It could go with parents, siblings, family, friends, pets. Pets. Woo. Like, I don't know, like a dog that's like so aggressive and is always biting you. Maybe you have to get rid of it, or like put it down. I don't know. Is that what it's called? It could quite literally be anything. A piece of like clothing that irritates your skin, you have to get rid of it because it does you no good. It could quite literally be anything, guys. Earrings, literally anything that irritates you. Like, my skin is really sensitive. I remember I had a pair of earrings that I absolutely loved, and I was gifted for one of my birthdays. I absolutely love those earrings. Every time I put them on, it would irritate my ears, and like my ears would like be bleeding by the time I would take them off at the end of the day. And it hurt so bad because they were so pretty. But I stopped wearing them because it hurt me. It could quite literally be anything. Point is, put yourself first. Be selfish. Cut off people who are rude and drain you and that don't benefit you. We already talked about this. If they don't benefit you in any way, if they're rude to you, bro, you're just allowing yourself to get disrespected at that point. Why are you allowing that? That's gonna affect you mentally and everything, and it's gonna lower your confidence. Others are gonna see that you allow that, and it's gonna be like they're gonna think negatively about you. They're not gonna want to hang around you. Like, if I see someone allow themselves to get disrespected and they don't do anything about it, and they just like let people talk to them like that, I don't want to be friends with this kind of person, because I wouldn't allow that. Why would I want to be friends with someone who allows it, Ooh, become interesting. by learning to love learning. So what this means is like, pick up hobbies, learn new facts, learn languages. I don't know, like for me, for example, like I was trying to learn Italian for a while. I was learning Korean. I took classes for that in high school. I started learning Italian. I know certain things. Obviously I can read it because it's similar to Spanish. And like right now I'm really interested in like learning Arabic. Like I want to learn the alphabet and everything. And apparently there are like different like dialects or something. So I have to look more into that. But I really love like learning languages. I don't know why. It's just, I love it. I know how to say a few words in my native language because I'm part Mayan. So I know how to say a few words. But that's a totally different, like complicated, like freaking language. Even my mom doesn't know it to an extent, you know. She knows a few things. Obviously she knows more than I do, but she doesn't know a lot. My grandmother though. Woo! My grandmother though, she speaks it very well, fluently. So I might just, you know, ask her to teach me whenever I can. But yeah, things like that. Becoming an interesting person means like you have a lot of hobbies, you know interesting facts. You can, I don't know, pick up, you know, go to like pottery class or whatever, learn how to make pots, learn how to paint, learn how to skate, I don't know, learn to code, learn how to do makeup, learn how to do hair, learn how to do nails. The more you learn, the more interesting you become. If you know like random facts, like people are gonna compliment you for that. Like, I don't know, you know when a certain dinosaur like went extinct or something, or I don't know where an animal comes from. People are gonna be like, oh, that's so cute, or oh, that's so funny that you think that. They're gonna compliment you for that. They're gonna be like, wow, or I don't know, maybe you know how to, maybe you're an architect. Be like, wow, you know how to do that stuff. And it's gonna make you feel good because you're gonna be like, yeah, like people realize I can do this, I know I can do this. And it's gonna make you feel good about yourself, you know. If you know how to do makeup and you have a lot of people coming to you for special occasions, it makes you feel good because, you know, people look for you because you're so good at something, you know. So picking up stuff like that, hobbies, facts, all that stuff, it leads to making you feel good about yourself. But yeah, let me know what else you guys want to hear about. Anything you're interested in, anything you want me to talk about. I just hope you guys become a better person in general. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next video. Bye.